All right, so at this stage of the project, we've got our carcass assembled with our face frame attached. I've got the back panel on here, and I've also got my top. And so what is going to be the temptation is going to be for you to go and just screw this top on, because we're so close to being done with this, right? But I want to check out a few things before we go and put this top on. We're going to beautify the profiles on this face frame so that it looks like a professional cabinet maker built it. Remember when I said I want that face frame to hang off the side of the cabinet carcasses here? Well, this is the reason why. With this tool right here, I'm going to be able to take off this edge and make it flush with the cabinet carcass side. Okay, a couple things on this router right here. Okay, zoom in so you can see this. All right, this piece underneath here, this metal piece right here, is going to need to ride on my carcass side while the flush trim bit trims off the edge of that face frame. Okay, so this is all one piece right here. In order to do that, I need to do it safely, and so when I operate this thing, first I want you to check that. All right, we're going to only use the big batteries on here. If this bit looks differently than it does in this video, please come and find me. When we're doing this, I want this clamped down to the table so it's not going to move. And how I decide which way this router is going to go is fairly simple. I'm going to do this with my right hand. I'm going to make a finger pistol, right, with my right hand. You can't do this with the left. It's only the right hand. I'm going to make my finger pistol. The thumb is going to go against the edge I want to route, and now my index finger is pointing the direction that I am going to move that router. I like it when you push the router away from you. So it's going to look like this. I'm going to turn it on. I'm going to slide it flat so that this plate on the bottom here that's riding on the face frame is flat on the face frame. I'm going to slide it into that cabinet carcass, stop once it hits the carcass side. That ball bearing will stop it from going any further. If it doesn't stop it, turn it off immediately and come and find me, and we'll figure out why. Slide it to that cabinet carcass, and then I'm going to actually go about this speed. You'll see a wonderful blitz of wood chips coming at you, cameraman. All right, and I'm going to go about that speed right there, making sure not to tip this thing, not going too fast. There is a kickback feature on this router specifically. It's the only one in the market that does it, which is pretty cool. But still, we're going to be conventional cutting, pushing away from us like this. It'll look something like this. Feels pretty good. I'm going to adjust my clamp and do my other edge. Sometimes as I start, I'll start a little bit in and come back towards me a little bit, but then I'll finish pushing away from me the lion's share of this edge. Looks like this. Not too shabby. We want both our edges on our face frames to look just like this. We're also going to do the back panel as well. These should be a little bit wider than our cabinet carcass, and if they are, we're going to just flush trim these off as well. It's the same process as before. Alright, we're looking at the face frame again. Right now, we flush trim the edges. Looks pretty darn good. But what I'm concerned about now is the sharpness of them. And so we're going to take a round over bit on this smaller router right here and soften them, as well as just the front edges and the side edges on our face frame. Looks like this. Those relate. Okay, the difference here is that this router has a round over bit. Okay, I still have this thing set up, clamped down, pushing left to right with that finger pistol with the right hand, thumb going against the edge I'm routing, finger pointing towards the direction the router is moving. Okay? A little bit different on this smaller router. I'm actually going to take my left hand and I'm going to put it on this plate right here to help me hold it from going left and right. Okay, first edge I'm going to do is this edge right here. It's going to look like this. Same process, here it is again. I've got a wonderful editing team speeding things up and slowing things down at certain times, but none of those cuts that you just watched were sped up or slowed down. That is the speed that I want you to carry. If you go any faster, we could tear out. If we go any slower, we will have burns. And burns aren't the end of the world, but it does mean more sanding for us in the future. All right, so here's a bird's eye view of what has to happen next. We are going to route the inside of this face frame here. Okay, we're doing this for a couple of reasons, all right? Number one, it looks nice, but also it's going to remove that sharpness that this cabinet has. Okay, I've left the same setup right here because I don't want you guys unclamping. Things to consider here. I just got done routing this edge, right? And so a lot of you guys are going to want to just simply flip this and route this way. Okay, but we're actually going wrong that way because if you remember, it's that right hand, pointer finger, and thumb combination pointing to the direction that you're going to route. Okay, and I can actually go all the way around this piece like this, okay, in one motion. But if I just get down here and then go back this way, you'll notice that there's that right hand, thumb, finger going the wrong direction. Copy that? Okay, if you don't, please ask me, okay, because there is a lot of danger using these routers. Sharp spinny bit on bottom can cut you quickly. So please, if you're not understanding this, please check in with me. Right hand, pistol, thumb going to the edge, right pointer finger pointing the direction you are routing away from yourself, okay? Otherwise, it's, for the most part, going to look like this. And it's kind of tricky too. Once I get to the corner, I'm going to rotate this slightly and push away from me. And I'm basically going to do just these two right here. Check it out. Okay, not too bad. All right, and I'll probably leave one like this in the shop somewhere just so you guys can see the difference there, okay? This is rounded over and smooth, this is not, okay? I stopped right here because I want to reposition my body so I'm this way, pushing away from myself. I never want to be in the situation when I'm routing, pulling that router back towards myself, okay? I'm going to get showered with shavings, or I could run out of, so at this point I'll be like this, and I'll run out of space on that plate underneath for me to safely hold this thing flat down. So that's why I move my body. Not bad. All right, before I move this clamp, I'm going to route this inside here first because I don't want more clamping positions than necessary, okay? This is going to be one shot, looks like this. It's going to make my drawer nice and rounded over, okay? And if you notice, there's that thumb pointer finger on my right hand combination showing me the direction I'm moving my router. Are we getting this yet? If you ever forget, okay, after a clamp movement, which way do I gotta move this thing? Finger pistol, right hand. Thumb against the edge we're routing, pointer finger is showing the direction you're routing away from yourself. There we go. Our face frame has been rounded and we are ready to move on to the top. If it's early in the hour, don't let this thing get too far away from you. Certainly share it with a friend next to you, but we are going to come back to this here pretty shortly. All right, at this point in our end table process, we are going to put the top on our end table. Okay, before we just go and screw this thing down, I want to make sure that this has been sanded on both faces, that this has been cut so that the ends are going to be smooth. There's no offset. We do that on the panel saw. We do not do that on the jointer ever, on the end grain, okay? Before we get to this point though, I'm going to find a drill with an eighth inch drill bit in it, okay? I'm going to put 4 holes in my top support pieces, and this is the sample project. Mine is a little bit wider than yours, but that's okay. All right, I'm only concerned with a couple spots where I'm going to put them. So I'm going to drill some angled holes through these top supports. Put one about here, one about here, one about here, and one about here. Okay, that's where that 1/8 inch hole is. All right, make sure you've got the right drill bit for it. Don't just grab some random drill with any drill bit in it, okay? Check in with me, ask if this is the right one. If it is, I'll say yes, okay? Now, while I'm doing this, okay, I need to keep some things in mind, all right? I'm going to be drilling through the wood completely, and so I need to know what is beyond that board, okay? If I've got my hand right here and I am drilling through, I'm gonna have a bad day. All right, so this is a trick that an old cabinet maker, countertop installer actually showed me. This is the process that they use for putting on countertops that are laminate. Okay, so I'm going to start with my drill totally up and down, upright, 90 degrees. Okay, no angle yet, and just start a hole. A couple notes too. On your drill, we've got to be on the fast setting too, and then this little indicator that looks like a drill bit, that is what we want shown on the drill. Okay. After I made a little hole, okay, honestly like a 1/16 of an inch down, then I can angle back, all right, about maybe 15 to 30 degrees, all right. Cameraman, you can zoom in right there and see what my angle is about right there. Okay, then I'm going to drill all the way through. There's one. There's two. Three. And four. All right. Those angled holes are going to be really important because next step we're actually going to grab pocket hole screws and put our top on. All right, so now putting on our top. I'm going to want to pick out the top side that I want to see forever and ever. Okay, and I'm going to put that beautiful side, decorative side, down. I've got a drill with a square drive. I'm going to set it to the slow setting, and I'm going to back it off to maybe the 11 on the clutch. Okay, I've got 4 pocket screws ready to go. I'm then going to take my project and tip it over. At this stage here, you're welcome to grab your tape measure and a combination square and get this thing absolutely perfectly centered on your top. Okay? You can come at it from the front or you can come at it from the back. Try to get the measurements just right. Honestly, what I do is I just eyeball it. It's probably not the cabinet maker's way of doing it, but it's how I do it and how often I've done it. This is the simplest thing and most time-effective thing, and I really don't think we're going to have square boxes at this point, and so just getting it to be close enough is good enough for me. All right, I've got it centered where I want it to go. Do you remember those holes that we made at an angle? This is where we're going to find out if it was a steep enough angle. Okay, if it's not, I'm actually not going to be able to fit my drill in there. The reason why we drill it at an angle is so that I can get on top of it like this, and now my drill actually clears this piece. Okay, I'm going to slowly go until I hear that clutch activate. Okay, and after I get one in, I'm going to check and make sure that this thing didn't move too much. All right, with one screw in, I can still adjust this. With two, it's going to be almost impossible. Okay. Not the end of the world though, if you get 2 in and realize like, oh, I'm way off on this side. Process for that would be loosen button, take the screws out, adjust it, drive the screws back in. Going to do the 2 in the front now. Same process. Drill at a slight angle. There's one. There's 2. You're going to go until that clutch activates, and before you put your drill away, you're going to look right here to see if there is any gap. All right, if there is a significant gap, that means you have what's called a jacked screw, meaning there's a gap between the top support and the top, and so that's just going to be adjusting that clutch to a higher number, driving that screw a little bit deeper so that that gap closes. And that's what we put on our top. All right, at this point it's getting pretty close to being done. This is actually starting to look like a piece of furniture now. I just put my top on. Holds it on just fine. Those 4 screws are holding it on very well. It's important to get a good firm joint there too. I didn't mention in the last video, okay, but you can add additional screws if you feel like it's a little loose, okay, or drive those screws, or ask me for some advice on that, because anytime you go to move this in the future, you're going to grab up on this lip right here, and so we want that joint to be sure. The next step we're going to do is we're going to route a round over on the top here. Okay, it's going to be very similar to routing the edges of our face frame, but it's not going to be the same because we're actually going to be routing end grain, which has some other things we need to take into consideration. As we look at this beautiful piece of red oak that is our top, okay, we can see the wood grain going up and down the board right here, and this is our end grain. Okay, these are the growth rings on the board right here, and so that is actually where we have to start when we're routing that round over or whatever profile that we're putting on here. If it's a Roman ogee, if it's a bevel, whatever it is, doesn't matter what it is, we are going to route the end grain first. I'm going to clamp it down so it doesn't move on me, and I'm going to route this end and this end first. So remember, probably get sick of me saying it at this point, okay? Mr. Kurt taught me this, and so I'm very proud to share what I've learned from him. My right hand is making a pistol. My thumb is going to go against the edge or end that I'm going to joint, and my pointer finger is now pointing the direction that I'm going to route. Our router has the correct profile bit that I want to see on my project. Okay, and for the face frame, we have to use the round over. For the top, I'm open to the idea if you want to use a Roman ogee or bevel or something else to that effect. Okay. Otherwise, it's going to look very similar to the face frame. Okay, you're going to see me push it in and then route away from myself, making a big old mess over here. Not too shabby. I moved my clamp, and now I'm looking at the end grain on the other side of the panel. I'm going to do the end grains first, and then I'm going to do the long grains afterwards. Okay, I'm doing this because the end grain is more brittle as we come to the very end of the end grain. Okay, so what could happen, it didn't happen on this one, but that's because we've got a sharp bit. What could happen if we're not going the right speed or if we're got a dull bit is that it could blow out the end. And so doing it in this order lets us, if we do have a blowout, able to match it on this side right here where it actually, the blowout doesn't matter anymore because it's covered up by the round over we put on the edge grain. Okay, here's another end grain, looks like this. I was honestly hoping it would blow out so I'd have something good to show you guys, but DeWalt just makes too good of routers. Nick Frost CNC tooling, router bits, just too darn sharp. All right. After and only after I've done the end grains can I do my edge grain. Okay, I'll move my camera so we can get a better shot. I didn't realize I was covering it up those first couple times. I'm gonna fire my cameraman. Beautiful. Least but not last. There we have it, folks. At this stage in the process, we have made a tremendous mess over here with our router. Okay, that's okay. But I do not want you to wait until cleanup time to handle it. Okay, I've probably got about 4 pounds of sawdust just on me personally, and then I've got probably 10 pounds on the ground right here. That's an exaggeration, but please, at this point, go grab a broom, sweep up after yourself, empty it into the trash cans.